Welcome to What the Torah, where we discuss the Torah's most messed up moments, one portion at a time. This week we're talking about the portion Vaera, where God flings some plagues down on Egypt and Pharaoh makes some promises that he can't keep. Let's get into it. Vaera begins with Moses and Aaron approaching the Israelite leaders in Egypt, saying that they are going to free them from the Egyptian rule. The issue here, though, is that the Israelites have been enslaved for nearly 400 years, and they've kind of lost all faith in God. So, God instructs Moses and Aaron to instead go directly to Pharaoh. They say, "Let my people go," and Pharaoh refuses. This is when God says that he is going to unleash the plagues upon Egypt and show them exactly what he's made of. Things are about to get interesting. God pretty much says that no matter what miracles Moses performs, Pharaoh is not going to change his mind. He even says that it's God himself who is making Pharaoh's heart so hardened. That's a whole other conversation, but let's look at the miracles themselves, because it looks like the Egyptians are able to do the exact same thing. The first thing that happens is that Moses and Aaron literally throw down the gauntlet by laying down a staff, it turns into a snake, and the Egyptian magicians are able to do the exact same thing. Then we see the water of the Nile turned into blood. Well, the Egyptian magicians are able to do that too. Can we really blame Pharaoh for not believing Moses and Aaron when his own magicians are able to replicate what God is doing with some simple red dye 40 that might be laying around somewhere? Let's break down these miracles one at a time. With the miracle with the snakes, Moses and Aaron conjure a snake that kills and devours the Egyptian snake almost immediately. It's clear to us that maybe this is a sign that one person's magic is more powerful than the other, but the Egyptians don't take the hint. When we see Moses turn the Nile's waters into blood, it is said in the Torah that all the fish and the animals within it die. When the magicians do the same thing, nothing else is said. Can we assume that nothing happened when they turned their water into blood? Are the magicians' tricks in these examples just simple imitation games compared to the actual otherworldly miracles that Moses and Aaron are performing? Surely if God was wanting to show his full power to the Israelites, he would have started with something that wouldn't have been so easily reproduced, right? Throughout the portion, God does up the game quite a bit. He sends plagues of frogs, of insects, hail the size of boulders. Pharaoh makes his promises and breaks them over and over and over again, which just encourages more and more plagues from God. It's essentially a divine game of chicken with only one real player, and that's God. But again, why sow doubt by doing miracles that are easily reproduced when there are so many thousands of lives on the line? Some say that God had to prove himself not just to Pharaoh and the Egyptians, but to the Israelite people as well. They've gone for 400 years without seeing him or feeling his presence anywhere. I kind of like to imagine that there's some divine battery somewhere that God has to have charged up before he can really pull out all the stops and perform all the great miracles. And he does that by getting people to believe in him in the first place. Whatever the reason, God continues to show favor for the Israelites with each new plague, and it really comes to a pinnacle in next week's portion. What do you think was the most messed up section in this week's Torah portion? Tell me about it in the comments below. You can follow me on YouTube and on Instagram at WTF Torah, and I'll see you next week.